is a Green Sanctuary congregation, and today is our annual Green Sanctuary worship service. In this congregation, we create loving religious community, encourage spiritual growth, and help to build a more just and joyful world. On Sunday mornings, we gather in worship to restore the balance of our spirits, to celebrate the joys of life, and to find the strength to meet its sorrows. Worship, a time when we consider what is worthy, what brings us meaning and purpose as we seek to live our values. Climate change and ways to protect life on planet Earth are worthy topics. Today, members of this Green Sanctuary congregation's Green Sanctuary team will share short personal reflections on the ways that Shelter Rock is rewilding our campus and the surrounding community. Jim Peters will introduce the offering. Kathy DeVos will lift our spirits with poetry, and Jim Peters will give our closing words. Our soloist today is Leah Wool. Now let's take a moment to center ourselves as we begin the worship service with the music played by Matthew Ricketts. Our opening words are from Jared K. Anderson, his poem, Many Hands. The world will always be troubled. This is true. You deserve to feel happy and comfortable. This is also true. If you feel the first truth undermines the second, I will offer this. Own a share of the virtuous work towards solutions. Don't burden your worth with global outcomes. The good and the evil are happening concurrently. The choice to focus on the good is itself a way to defy the evil. Each Sunday, we light the chalice of our religious heritage.
Each Sunday, we light the chalice of our religious heritage. We do this for our ancestors, who taught us through their various religious traditions and by their actions for justice and hope. We do this for our children, who are learning the traditions we teach and who learn more from our actions than our words. We do this for ourselves, so that we are inspired to remember our beginning, reflect on who we are now, and learn who we seek to become.
Please rise or remain seated as you are comfortable. Please wear a mask when we sing our song of affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve human need. This do we affirm and covenant with each other. Our first speaker this morning is Stephen Ruocco, Chair of the Green Sanctuary Committee, who will reflect on Shelter Rock's rewilding of our 100-acre campus.
Good morning. We are a welcoming congregation. Our property is a draw. Green Sanctuary has partnered with the ReWild Long Island Summer Internship Program. ReWild Long Island is a nonprofit dedicated to improving biodiversity through sustainable gardening practices. Our initial meeting a few weeks ago introduced 30 high school students to our unique property. We will continue to host 10 interns each week through the autumn as they work on with Green Sanctuary members to remove invasive plants and learn about UUCSR's biodiversity of the grounds. Green Sanctuary in Buildings and Grounds has worked for 2 years to develop the land management program for our property. It is a roadmap for the stewardship of our woods and legacy Gold Coast garden. So far, we rolled out to various committees the program. We've written articles in the Quest. Our first big project, removal of invasive plant species along the garden perimeter, the Great Lawn perimeter, has been completed. Replanting with native plants will commence in the fall. On our to-do wish list, hiring a land management professional who can help guide us as we embark on new projects and needed grounds maintenance. We strive to live our seventh principle. 60+ species of birds make our property their home. Coyotes, deer, raccoons, opossum, and tiger salamanders do too. Our woods and grounds are also for people. A walk in the woods provides health and spiritual benefits. Visiting our pollinator garden does also. All is not right, though. Our woodland understory and our memorial garden are inundated with a shrub called burning bush. These aggressive small trees cover our forest floor, preventing native trees and shrubs from taking hold. New trees and edible flora don't have a chance to propagate. Nobody feeds on burning bush. Its presence creates an unnatural food desert. There are solutions, though. The property has been neglected, and we need to play catch-up. Green Sanctuary and Buildings and Grounds will continue our efforts to highlight the need for active land stewardship. Thank you.
Let's take a moment now for silence, prayer, or meditation as we hold one another in love and extend the caring to people everywhere. May we feel our connection to the earth and all its creatures. In the words of UU Minister Susan Frederick Gray, may we remember every day that we belong to each other, to the earth, and to the web of creation itself. Now, let's sing together the Garden Song by Peter, Paul, and Mary. Please rise in body or spirit as you are comfortable and wear a mask to sing.
Inch by inch, row by row, gotta make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by grow straight and long, temper them with prayer and song. Mother Earth will make you strong if you give her love and care. Old crow watching hungrily from his perch in yonder tree. In my garden I'm as free as that feathered beak up there. Inch by inch, row by row, can I make this garden grow? All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless the seeds I sow. Someone warm them from below till the rain comes tumbling down.
Can you do the last stanza again so we can all sing now? The inch by inch, row by row?
Sure.
And we'll follow you?
Bottom of page 5.
Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless the seeds I sow. Someone warm them from below till the rain comes tumbling down.
Thank you, that was lovely. Our next speaker, is Dana Gum, our resident arborist, who can tell you fascinating facts about trees and shrubs. Dana has been part of a team developing a land management plan for the stewardship of our property. His reflection will give us a glimpse of the future.
Thank you, Elaine. Reiterating kind of what Stephen had to say, kind of building on that, starting about 2 years ago, the Green Sanctuary Committee and the Buildings and Grounds Committee realized that we need to be good stewards of our magnificent property that we've been blessed with here at Shelter Rock. And again, referring to our seventh principle that calls for us to respect the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part, we felt that principle compels us to nurture our 100-acre property in a way that protects and enhances its ecosystem. So we seek to restore and preserve our property so that future generations can enjoy the natural resource values of the land. And if you look around or drive around Nassau County, you realize that these natural resource values are becoming increasingly rare in our very heavily developed suburban area. So toward that goal, the Green Sanctuary and Buildings and Grounds Committees embarked on this master planning process that Stephen referred to. And that effort culminated in the completion of our landscape master plan last March. The master plan contains a plan for the landscaping of the patio area between the main lobby and the chapel. So it's that area that you can see right out that window there. So that's the spot where we have our homecoming picnic every year. So we have a new plan for re-landscaping that area, and it's now, the congregation is now negotiating with the lowest bidder on getting that project into construction. And Stephen also mentioned the clearing of the 100-acre buffer along the Great Lawn, starting here at the RE parking lot, going all the way down and then across to the beach parking lot. So that was a really major project that we got done in the spring. And we're looking to have a contractor come and do native plantings in the fall. So things are happening, a lot of activity coming out of this master plan. And we also recommending the full-time staff person that Stephen mentioned who would manage all the aspects of the grounds maintenance. That's a very important part of the plan. And another recommendation is the idea of a conservation easement for some portion of our 75-acre woodland. We have 25 acres around the campus, and we have 75 acres of undeveloped woodland. And it's long been our commitment to preserve that woodland area. And the idea of a conservation easement is to monetize that commitment. The congregation would sell the development rights for some portion of that property, thereby committing to preserve that open space. And I know for all the years that I've been here, we've always talked about aquifer protection, how important our woodland area is as a recharge area where the rainfall can infiltrate into the ground and increase the groundwater, the amount of groundwater, and restore the aquifer, which of course all of us living on Long Island are dependent for water supply. So this is extremely important. Finally, we have a proposal in our master plan to create wildflower meadows along the Great Lawn. And we have a no-mow policy that you can see for part of it that kind of gives you a hint of what these wildflower meadows would look like along the perimeter of the Great Lawn to provide habitat for pollinators and other insects that support the bird population and increase these natural resource values. So we're looking, our two committees are looking to engage the congregation in a conversation about all these ideas that are contained in the landscape management plan. The Board of Trustees is working to create a leadership team which will guide that conversation. If you're interested in getting involved, please let me know. We hope, in conclusion, we hope to pass on to future generations the magnificent diamond of an asset that our property is, that our wonderful 100-acre property truly is. With this land stewardship effort, we can hand off that diamond polished until it sparkles to the next generation. So that's our goal. Thank you.
Henry David Thoreau loved nature. He expressed his feelings in his writings. This is Thoreau's poem, Nature. O nature, I do not aspire to be the highest in thy choir, to be a meteor in the sky, or comet that may range on high. Only a zephyr that may blow among the reeds by the river low. Give me thy most privy place, where to run my airy race. In some withdrawn on public mead, let me sigh upon a reed. Or in the woods with leafy din, whisper the still evening in. Some still work give me to do, only be it near to you. For I would rather be thy child and pupil in the forest wild than be the king of men elsewhere and most sovereign slave of care. To have one moment of thy dawn, then share the city's year forlorn.
Jim Peters is a worship associate, Green Sanctuary member who is an expert in science, math, and renewable energy.
Each Sunday, we take a special collection to support a nonprofit group that expressly serves human need. During July and August, contributions support school supplies for local school children whose families can't afford to buy them what they need. Each summer, Shelter Rock members and friends help provide school supplies for children in need in the village of Hempstead. Supplies are distributed in late August by Reverend Benjamin of the ABBA Leadership Center. Members of our Social Justice Committee will use the funds from our Sunday collection to purchase the supplies and deliver them to Reverend Benjamin in time for the distribution. Make a contribution on our website, or if you're on site, the donation box is on your right as you leave the sanctuary. If you pay by check, in the memo box, put the word ABBA, A-B-B-A. Thank you.
I think we're in for some music again, some really good music with our soloist, Leah Wool, lovely voice, and Matthew Ricketts.
Now I've been happy lately, thinking about the good things to come, and I believe it could be something good has begun. Oh, I've been smiling lately, dreaming about the world as one, and I believe it could be someday it's going to come. 'Cause out on the edge of darkness there rides a peace train. Oh, peace train, take this country, come take me home again. No, I've been smiling lately, thinking about the good things to come, and I believe it could be something good has begun. Oh, peace train sounding louder, light on the peace train. Come on the peace train, holy roller, everyone jump up on the peace train. Come on now, peace train, get your bags together, go bring your good friends too, because it's getting nearer, it soon will be with you. Oh, come and join the living, it's not so far from you, and it's getting nearer, soon it will all be true. Oh, peace train sounding louder, light on the peace train. Ooh, come on now, peace train, peace train. Now I've been crying lately, thinking about the world as it is. Why must we go on hating? Why can't we live in bliss? 'Cause out on the edge of darkness there rides a peace train. Oh, peace train, take this country, come take me home again. The peace train sounding louder, glide on the peace train. Come on the peace train, holy roller, everyone jump up on the peace train. Come on now, peace train, come on, peace train, yes, it's the peace train.
That was really terrific. Thank you, Leah. Our next speaker is Ann Sachs, who's co-leader of the UU Community Garden with May Choi Steele. And make sure we have all the tools and mulch we need.
Hello, our community garden is located across from the VP building. There are 24 raised beds and an herb garden that we all share. In the summer, RE classes come to pick blueberries from our blueberry bushes. I like to grow unusual vegetables. A few years ago, I had a great crop of loofah and was able to dry them out and use them as scrubbers. Peas, zucchini, tomato, and cucumbers are also things that many people grow. The community garden is open to all members and all ages. If you'd like to join us next year, please let us know. All skill levels are welcome.
It's a wonderful place to join with others at that UU Community Garden and grow organic food for you and your neighbors. Anne Marie Ansell can grow anything edible, even in her own backyard. In a moment, she'll reflect on her experience reviving that backyard using native plants. Following Anne Marie is Janet Bendowitz, our congregational envoy to the Office of Unitarian Universalists at the United Nations. Janet reflects on her motivation to work for climate justice through the Citizens Climate Lobby.
I moved into my current home during the dead of winter, and yet my yard was filled with wildlife. The ground was covered with snow, and I remember how it contrasted so beautifully with the many red cardinals and blue jays. Oh, and the bird song was phenomenal. I couldn't wait to bring even more wildlife to my yard. So the next spring, I started ripping out all the overgrown shrubs and replaced them with beautiful burning bushes, wisteria vines, hydrangeas, and all these exotic flowers that I saw in the mail catalogs. Well, next winter arrived without the abundance of blue jays and cardinals. And in the spring, the birdhouse lay vacant where the chickadees used to lay eggs and raise their young. So what went wrong? I planted all these beautiful shrubs and flowers, and now there was less wildlife. A few years ago, I became involved with ReWild Long Island, where I learned that the plants that I had put in were from Asia and Europe. And the wildlife here could not sustain themselves on it. So I quickly got to work, ripping them all out and replacing them with non-natives, and even reduced some of my lawn. Within a year, the birds returned. Even hummingbirds and ladybugs. And the very same day that I added a water fountain to my front yard, a robin started building a nest just a few feet from it. I couldn't believe how simple the solution was. So what I learned is that when we choose non-native plants, our insects haven't co-evolved with these foreign plants, and they can't eat them. If the insects can't eat them, they die. And what happens if there aren't enough insects to feed baby birds or for the other wildlife that depend on insects for food? Well, scientists are now saying that bird decline is directly related to insect decline. We lost 3 billion birds in the last 50 years. Mostly bird species depend on insects for food. World Wildlife Fund says 2/3 of wildlife has vanished since 1970. But we can turn this around by taking Earth stewardship seriously, by putting the native plants back. Today, I'd like to share with you a few easy ways we can do this. First, we must change the way we look at plants. Plants aren't just pretty things. They are functioning units of the landscape. We may not enjoy sharing our environment with bugs, but we have to stop killing them. So next time, instead of reaching for pesticides, try embracing in knowing that your gardening is functioning as nature intended. Native plants have evolved and adapted to our local climate and soil conditions, and once established, don't require supplemental irrigation, fertilizer, or pesticides. They have deep roots which increase rain infiltration and prevent erosion. They require much less maintenance than lawns and save money. And they provide food and shelter for native wildlife and pollinators. Unlike the Bradford pear, our native oak trees support over 557 species of caterpillars. The winged euonymus, which is very invasive, better known as burning bush, was brought to North America for its brilliant red fall color. But an excellent native replacement is a blueberry bush, which not only turns the same brilliant red in the fall, but provides blueberries for us and wildlife. Remove bamboo and other invasives and plant natives instead. There are some beautiful choices out there, like black-eyed Susan, goldenrod, asters, purple coneflower will attract goldfinches, and butterfly milkweed, which is the only plant a monarch can lay eggs on. Remember to leave the seed heads until next spring. They become a food source for overwintering birds and wildlife. Consider replacing some of your lawn with creeping phlox or creeping thyme. If you'd like a chance to watch a caterpillar develop into a beautiful swallowtail butterfly, plant fennel or parsley. To download the list of some of the Long Island native plants that you've seen here today, you can check our UUCSR website. Under Programs, click on Green Sanctuary Committee. There, you'll also find info on invasives and a link to the town of North Hempstead's comprehensive list of native plants, trees, shrubs, and grasses. So, build a park at home. Create outdoor spaces that connect children with the natural world. Build a sanctuary to unwind in, or as Doug Tallamy says, build a homegrown national park right in your own backyard. The days of destroying ecosystems for status symbol lawns must end if life on Earth is to continue.
What do we know about climate change? It's becoming more and more clear that climate change is not just affecting polar bears on some faraway ice cap. It's affecting people and the environment in general. If I had any doubts, I lost them when I was attending the recent General Assembly in Portland, Oregon this last June. I packed my suitcase full of sweaters, in my case jumpers, socks, and rain gear, expecting a temperate climate, only to be met with temperatures of close to 100 degrees. We were told that last summer's wildfires were devastating, and this year is expected to be worse. So I ask myself, what can I do to help counter climate change? I can keep on eating locally sourced, organically grown and seasonal produce. I will continue to observe Meatless Mondays, which reduces my carbon footprint by 8 pounds a year. I promise to remain active as the UU at UN envoy for this congregation. As such, I have participated and facilitated in the last 3 intergenerational spring seminars held by the UU at UN, and all have been focused on climate change and food sustainability and displacement. But more importantly, I am now actively using the power of our faith to create political action in line with our principles. In April, I invited the Citizens Climate Lobby to present their work to this congregation, as they did. They are the proponents of the adoption of a carbon fee coupled with a dividend component. Sounds complicated, but it's not. This clever idea would put a steadily rising fee on the carbon-emitting fuels at their source, and then that would be returned directly to households in monthly dividend checks. And there are over 60 countries in the world that already have employed such actives. So, the climate lobby is now urging congressional leaders to pass the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act, otherwise known as HR 2307. So, I ask, are you ready to work for climate justice? One of the ways you can do so is by joining me in the efforts of the Citizens Climate Lobby, or by simply writing directly to our elected officials. You will find on the table as you leave this space some postcards that already are stamped and some suggested messages to our elected officials if you would hopefully join me in this effort. Thank you.
this up a little bit. Thank you for coming to the service and listening to what we had to say. We can mitigate the effect, the extent of global warming, but we must work together. To extinguish the chalice, I recall the words of Greta Thunberg speaking to heads of state. But I don't want your hope. I want you to act like the house is on fire, because it is. Our house is still burning. May we, members of this gathered community, do all we can to carry the water that will extinguish the flames.